Hey, this is Justin. It is Wednesday morning. It's May 1st, 2025, and I just had a conversation this morning with a friend who was talking about comfort with public speaking and how I got myself comfortable. I think you can never get super comfortable with it, but I was in Austin, Texas in 2012. And I was attending a conference, and one of the speakers talked about somebody who had made like 40 videos a day, or was it 40 videos a day or 40 videos a week? I don't remember what the count was, but I heard myself saying, "Oh, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal." And then right after that, the comment was like, this is all a conversation inside my head, was like, "All right, well, if it's not that big of a deal, then why don't you go do it?" So went back to the hotel room that last night and wound up recording videos for 12 hours straight. And at that point in time, I held up, probably didn't even have an iPhone at that point, held up my phone recorded for a period of time. And the interesting thing that you learned is, um, and it was very awkward at the beginning, even though those things weren't getting shared with anybody else. It was very awkward, and and I hated listening to my voice and then hearing all of that stuff. And then I would like look at my face, and I remember my teeth. I like hated the way my teeth looked, but slowly as every hour started going past, started getting a little bit more and more comfortable doing speaking. One, to like looking, like effectively looking in the mirror, right? Was looking into a phone, but effectively looking in the mirror, and then hitting play and then pushing record. And then I listened to somebody who was giving a speech a couple of weeks later, and they said the interesting thing. Said, when you're talking, what happens 90% of the time is people lose focus, right? And they're not like, they think that they're distracted because something else takes over. So 90% of the time people lose focus, and that, today it's like they go look at their phone, or they get distracted, or they think about something else. And they just assume that, their mind was wandering. 5% of the time, somebody speaking, it's like so engaging that everybody's paying attention, and everybody's focused on what's going on. And then 5% of the time, it's so bad that people are forced to get paid attention. That's actually probably like more like 1% of the time that actually happens. But over 95% of the time, nobody's necessarily really paying attention. And so once I got comfortable with that, it's very easy. So like I'm recording this right now, walking the dog, and I don't have camera on right now for a couple of different reasons. One, logistically, it's a little bit challenging because I want to be present in the like I want to be present out in the world as I'm doing the walk. And then number two, the big thing is I don't want to capture other people on the video, like without their permission. But it's like there's zero people are listening. There's no expectation that anybody's going to listen. If 1,000 people hear this or zero people hear this, it's sort of the same experience on the other side, and it's completely liberating. So what it allows me to do is just experiment with stuff that I actually want to experiment, and stuff that I actually want to share about. And I still very self-conscious about things like the audio quality. I know like a lot of the audio quality on the stuff that I put out is not so great. Sometimes I'm on camera and I was like, I pretty much hate the way I look on camera all the time. But just like realizing, and these are conversations I have with my kids, I was like, how much do you pay attention to other people, and and how they look, and what all those things, compared to how much you're focusing on yourself? And I was like, and so we get to like, I'm not worried. I'm not sitting here too worried about the problems of people who are very close to me right now, let alone other people that aren't necessarily close. 90% of my attention is on the things that I'm thinking about in the moment, because that's where we actually go, and that's how most people start to operate. And that doesn't mean that people don't necessarily care about what's going on, but we have, if let's see, we've seen, probably the average person, let's just say, has seen 1,000 people speak, or maybe it's 5,000 people speak, or whatever the number is. It's like 99% of them, we don't even remember who they are, or what they're doing, and we're not necessarily thinking about what they're doing right now. So that sort of gives the freedom to create a low enough bar to just get out there and actually do something. So it's not about the tips and tricks for being good, and then it's about the what work can get done so we can do more practice. Yeah, so we can do more practice um, to be able to share. And frankly, that's why I go every morning when I go and do my walk with my dog. Start to record some videos as I get a little bit more, time available, time freedom, do some more recordings. And inside of that, number one, get to see what excites me to talk about, and then also get to see what other people respond to on the on the back end. So it becomes sort of a feedback loop of getting stuff outside the head. And I share this a lot on my morning walk and talks. As like, for me, it's like what I would be doing right now if I was sitting at home. So like I could be, I don't have a meeting for another 56 minutes right now, so I could still be sleeping. I could still be sleeping today. And yeah, welcome if you are coming on. If you'd like to come on live, you're more than welcome to. Just leave a comment down below, and you're more than welcome to come on live. But yeah, could be sleeping right now, or if I was awake, would be potentially getting the kids ready for school, or would just be sitting and thinking, and that's not a positive thing. So the second we start to verbalize the stuff that's inside the head, it just becomes immediately more empowering, or at least that's my experience of it. When I speak it, then it actually, I get to hear it on the back end, right? I get to hear the stuff that we're talking about. It's like, oh, that actually resonates, or that feels right, one of the two. And then potentially other people are also able to start to other people are start to listen to what we're talking about on the back end as well. Hey, Dorian. Other people are able to listen on the back end as well, and can see what resonates with other people on the back end. So I talk about it as like a crazy thought of like creating a mastermind of, a mastermind of one, and then when other people can start to engage. So if you are joining now, I'm going to repeat some of the stuff that we talked about as far as the public speaking goes, because I think that's an interesting topic for some of the other people. So if you are listening to the recording, you're just going to hear a repeat of a similar story that I told a little bit later on. But I'm seeing as more people start to join live, here's how we talk about the public speaking. So I was at a conference in 2012, and somebody on the stage talked about somebody who had created 40 videos in a very short period of time. And I was like, that doesn't seem like that much. And then I immediately afterwards, this is all the voice in my head, was like, oh, then put your money where your mouth is. So I went back to the hotel room that night and just started recording. I recorded like 86 videos over a period of about 12 hours. I went from like 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. in the morning. I think I had a flight the next day. And I was just recorded that whole period of time. And in the beginning, it was very awkward. It was very awkward. It was very disempowering. I had to like effectively look in the mirror is what you're actually doing. And then it was just like all the judgment of how I looked and the stuff that I was saying. And I was like, are you lying to yourself? Are you lying to other people? And all that stuff started coming out. But as the hours and hours went by, just started to get more and more comfortable with the speaking and getting out there. So it was an uncomfortable 12-hour period of time. But what we realized is 90% of the time when we're actually speaking, people aren't paying attention, right? Even if they're in the room, especially I'm talking about speaking in front of groups, 90% of the time people aren't paying attention. 5% of the time you might start to really like say something that really hits a nerve and catches people's attention. And then like they're dialed into the stuff that you're talking about. And then 1% of the time, and I realize what I'm talking about is not adding up to 100 here, 1% of the time you're gonna do something that's so bad and so embarrassing that people are gonna pay attention to it. But even in those moments, like how we recover from those moments are, the are some of the like best times, right? Like you can do if you can just be okay with the uncomfortableness of those moments, and they don't happen that much, right? But what gets in the way so much is the fear of what's going to happen in those rough and tough times. So that is the that's how I wound up getting comfortable. This was inspiring by somebody sharing earlier today. Or making an offhand comment about a comment that somebody else made about like my comfort with doing broadcasting and doing podcasting and putting some of that stuff out there. And I was like, it's a trained. I was like, anybody. I think there are some people who are natural communicators and who do it well. But I'm saying I think the people that are perceived as doing like being natural communicators and wanting to be out there with people, they've trained it, right? They've practiced it enough time. They've been through enough reps of the ups and downs that go along with it, that it just becomes sort of a more natural way to be able to operate. And I don't know if it's analogous, but it was just like what I talk about with crypto. Like if anybody has any interest in crypto, and investing in it. This is not investment advice, but it was. I was like, or anything. I was like, start today, because the real skill that you want to build, especially the real skill you want to build, is the resilience of not worrying when it goes up and down. Again, not investment advice by any means, but it's just like anything that we wanted to do that's like that's risky. We're not going to be good at it at the beginning, but when you want to get punched in the face a couple of different times, so you start getting comfortable with those ups and downs, and that's when it starts to normalize. And that's the same thing with speaking, right? There's just like there's highs when something goes well, but if we start to normalize some of those big highs and some of the lows, life becomes a lot more simple and peaceful, we'll call it. So I'm going to leave that one there. Have an amazing day, and I'll speak soon.